My name is John Lee. Welcome to Koreatown. We're going to be doing a little cooking and shopping today at one of my favorite places, the P.A.T. supermarket. Typically here at the P.A.T. they specialize in Korean groceries as well as prepared foods. We're going to go inside and do a little shopping today. There's tons of stuff you can get here in the market in terms of meat and different kinds of cuts, but the cut that we're going to go for today is the traditional and the most famous of all, which is the kalbi. This meat is cut specifically here at the P.A.T., obviously from the whole side of ribs. One of the best things about this is the way it's cut. Beautiful side, lots of marbling, but most importantly, the width of the cut itself makes for the best in terms of cooking time, but also it keeps and definitely makes the meat most tender. Obviously there are tons of sauces and marinades packaged and ready to go for use if you want to make ribs or anything else, but of course today we're going to be making it from scratch. And one of the best things about being here at the P.A.T. is all the ingredients that are in here you can find on the shelves. Wow, there's dozens and dozens of different kinds of noodles you can get, but these are the noodles we're looking for. These are the best to do a glass noodle salad with, or as we call it, chap chai. Oh, look at the great packaging here. As you can tell, there's more than one variety of soy sauce available. This is a great brand, a nice dark soy. Dark in terms of its concentration, but also dark in terms of flavor, and perfect for what we're going to be using today to cook. Kimchi. There's over 3,000 varieties of kimchi available in Korea. Obviously, there's different kinds here. There's the daikon kimchi as well as the leaf lettuce kimchi. For our purposes today, oh, Imo, how are you? This is my aunt. Look good. Imo, tell me about kimchi. What do you think?
Oh, it's awesome.
Kimchi can be used for a variety of different things besides just eating straight. You can also actually turn it into other dishes like soup, stews, and for our next episode, kimchi pancakes. We just got back from our wonderful shopping trip at the P.A.T. and we have all these wonderful ingredients that we picked up today, of course, and we had the beautiful kalbi, which is the Korean short ribs. Now they're cut specifically like I said, but if you could take a look at the beautiful marbling going on in the meat, that's really going to be something that we want to preserve. And how do we preserve it? My mother would kill me if I missed the wrong steps in making this dish. So, Mom, what's the first step? Thanks very much. It is puree of onion. You got to make sure to rub in the puree of onion because the puree of onion is what makes the meat very tender and continues to preserve the tenderness. If we were to skip a step and then possibly put in a soy sauce first, the salt would extract the moisture out of the meat and make the meat tough as opposed to tender. Now we're going to start adding the other ingredients. First we're going to add a little bit of sugar. And generally with this amount I would go not too heavy, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. Then you're going to add your garlic. Obviously there's a fresh clove here, but what you really want is the diced up or chopped finely garlic. And then we're going to add that in slowly. We're going to leave this off to the side, and then we're going to add another beautiful ingredient, sugar. Sugar in a different form, not in the white but as honey. This is a beautiful addition because it adds not just a light smoky flavor to the meat, but it also helps to caramelize the sauce after the marinade has been finished. And when it goes onto the grill, especially in the traditional Korean fashion over wood or coals, it's going to be amazing. Okay, so now hands back in. We're going to give it a nice rub. We're going to make sure that we're distributing all the sugar along with the onion and a little bit of the honey all over those beautiful ribs. And I can just tell you, in my hands right now, they feel so tender, they're almost falling off the bones already, and they haven't even hit the grill yet. And we're going to finish up that a little bit, and then we're going to top it off with our beautiful green onion, chopped and ready to go. It's also going to add a different aroma to the meat. And of course, we want to make sure that all of the ingredients together have a certain amount of time to spend together. And that's really important in terms of what the marinade can do. And my mother's also full of sayings. She'll say everything's better with wine. And in this case, we're going to add just a few drops of wine to help add a different dimension to the flavor, along with a little bit of sesame oil, very high quality. Got to make sure you get good quality ingredients, and you can't make good food without good ingredients. And it's always the way that people always use them. But in this case, you want to go sparing. Even good ingredients need a little bit of balance. So not too much, just enough for the aroma. Now, with the heavy flavors that we have going on here and a lot of the strong aromas, you want to temper it appropriately. So don't go too light. Make sure you get enough pepper on there so it actually finishes its job in terms of both flavoring the meat as well as adding an overall different element to the taste. And of course, you want to make sure along with the pepper you have a little bit of salt to go with it. Very sparing because we're going to be adding soy sauce afterwards. Just a quick touch of coarse salt to add a little bit of intensity, and then of course we're going to finish it off with a liberal amount of the dark soy that we purchased earlier today. That goes in now. We've finished all of our ingredients, and now once again you get your hands in there and you make sure you give it a good rub. All the different flavors get to mix together, and the smell of this dish right now you can't believe. And of course everybody's wondering when I'm going to put it onto that hot grill that I got next to me. So in that, I'm going to reach over and not open the grill but grab a Ziploc bag. We're going to put these beautiful ribs into this bag, and we're going to make sure we let them sit for at least 24 hours to not just absorb the flavors, but to even reach a different level of tenderness. Woo! Look at that. Woo! That's hot. And you want to make sure you're working with the most heat possible when you're doing outdoor grilling, because A, what's the point of having a grill if it's not going to be super hot? Mom, if you could bring me those ribs that we marinated earlier, we'll take a look over here. Look at these. Are they great? Fantastic. Thanks, Mom. So obviously, these have had time to spend in the fridge, obviously chilled, but also really sort of amassing that flavor. All those wonderful elements, the green onion, the garlic, the onion puree, along with the sesame oil and the soy, you really got a great, great combination of flavors, and we need this hot heat to bring it all out. I mean, they're so tender, they're literally falling off the bone. And, you know, I really wish you could smell this because it smells so amazing. You can't believe it. Now, we're going to make sure that we keep the meat nice and distributed. Now we've got them on one side. They're searing beautifully. You can smell, you can hear, you can sense this is going to be amazing. So, with that anticipation in mind, we're going to make sure that we don't overcook one side versus the other. You want to make sure you get an even cook. And look at the beautiful grill marks you're seeing on the side of the meat now. You know it's cooking perfectly. You know it's fast. And that's the other thing too about Korean cooking. Really, you don't want to spend a lot of time cooking in the kitchen. Okay, now the ribs are ready. As you can tell by the beautiful grill marks, all the meat's perfectly cooked. It's off on two sides. Beautiful heat radiating. The smell is incredible. And you know what? I'm going to take these inside because I have some wonderful dishes that these will complement perfectly. Okay, we've got all of our various ingredients ready from the market. So, just to run through the steps with you, we're going to make sure that our noodles are cooked properly and at the right temperature. We're going to make sure all of our vegetables and other ingredients are sauteed to the right degree of doneness. And then we're going to blend the two ingredients together, almost like a salad, in a mixing bowl. We're going to toss them lightly. We're going to make sure that we add then the soy, the sesame oil, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and then we should be ready to go. So you add a good amount of water. Make sure you have the biggest pot possible, and make sure you don't stuff your glass noodles into a small pot, because glass noodles are very sticky and you want to make sure that they're all nicely articulated. Now, one thing that we didn't buy that we need to get for this is vegetable oil. Vegetable oil to help saute the ingredients. Sesame oil should be used very sparingly. It's very strong and potent. More of it doesn't always make it better, it actually makes it worse. We've got to make sure that the pan's getting nice and hot. We're going to start adding our oil. You don't want to be too heavy with the oil because you don't want the food to be oily. Then we're going to add, obviously, the tougher ingredients first. The onion. We're going to add the carrot. We're going to add a little bit of the mushrooms first. These are the Shitake mushrooms. Shitake mushrooms and oyster mushrooms all are great because they both add a bit of MSG to the naturally occurring MSG to the actual dish. Enoki mushrooms are fantastic. These are pretty much the capellini of mushrooms, the thin, beautiful, angel-like strands. You don't want them to be too lumped together. You want to be able to try them individually, almost like a sort of a physical complement of the noodles themselves. We're going to add a few of these cremini mushrooms because they're quite delicious. You don't want too much of one thing, so you're not going to overpower it with lots of mushroom. You're going to make sure you get enough mushroom in there to do its part, but you don't want it to sort of take over. Kind of like party guests. We're going to move in with our zucchini as well as our green onion. These elements are fantastic and one of my favorites as well too. Our water is boiling nice and heavily. Alright, we're going to make sure that we put the noodles in. Now, these noodles cook really quickly, so you got to keep a good eye on them. If you start walking your way thinking it's like pasta, you're going to be terribly disappointed once the final product emerges. We're going to take our pot of noodles, they're just perfect. We're going to take it over to the sink, we're going to drain them out. Now, they're really hot, these noodles. You got to be careful about adding really hot noodles to other ingredients. You don't want them to overcook as well. So we're going to give it a quick little shock of water, cold water from the sink. Right into the colander, you make sure you give it a good quick bath. You don't want to cool it down too much, but you don't want it to be too hot. And this also gives you an opportunity to pull out ones that haven't cooked properly, like this one over here. Yeah. These noodles are really long in strength, and so it makes it very difficult to distribute these evenly, especially with the amount of vegetables that we have. How are we going to do that? We're going to do that by cutting the noodles. And in fact, it's very common for long noodles, especially in soup and other Asian style cooking, to be cut at the table. We're going to then add the vegetable. The warmth of the vegetables really will add another positive aspect to the noodles, because once we've cooled them down, now we can then bring them back up in temperature. As you can see, we're blending it in. Look how beautiful that looks. You want to be easy on how much soy you add. You want to go step by step, because you can always add more, but you can't take it out. So you also have to be careful with the amount of sesame oil you add as well too. Once again, probably just under a tablespoon, which is what I have right here. Okay? So you're going to drizzle that in. Back into the noodles we go, giving it a good stir. And the reason my mother is so adamant about using hands as opposed to hard kitchen tools is because hands prevent the noodles and the ingredients from becoming smashed. And now we're going to just finish it off with a little bit more of sesame, but not oil this time. We're going to use the toasted black as well as white sesame seeds. You really want to accentuate the flavors of the noodles, but the garnish really will add the final touch to it. So a few snips here and there, and you're ready to go. Now that we've come to the end of our day, now we finally get to eat our work. So, once again to recap, we have, thanks, we have our marinated and grilled Korean ribs, or kalbi. We have our chap chai, glass noodles with vermicelli of zucchini, carrots, as well as a bit of green onion, regular onion, and then of course kimchi, and as a complement, our rice and a little bit of red leaf cabbage to help us make a little bit of a Korean style wrap. A little rice for you, Mom.
Thanks.
You're welcome. How about for you, little one? Some rice? Yes? Alright. There you are. And for Natalie, a little rice. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm going to loosen my tie and get into the mood for some Korean dining. Alright, everybody, dig in. Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
Alright. There you go.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay, one for me. Thank you.
Oh.
Good job, John.
Thanks, Mom.